Hey guys, welcome to the program this evening. We are now live. All right, so good to have everybody. We're just about to finish up the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is called the Summum Bonum. In other words, this is the end of all knowledge, of all seeking after knowledge. This is the most confidential secret, and it's being revealed to us through the Srimad Bhagavatam, through these great sages and these great histories and avatars and so forth. And it's all designed to bring us to a state of self-realization, which includes God realization, by the way. And it's been a very wonderful chapter. We're down to the last three, I believe, three or four chapters. And then after that, we're pretty much finished with Srimad Bhagavatam. So thanks everyone for being here with us always. So if you don't mind, tonight I'm going to go ahead and start with pranams and just chant with me if you know them. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devim Gaurivani Pracharane Nirvishesha Srinyavari Paschat Yaresha Tarane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giridhara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 88. And if you're here to read, get ready. It's a short chapter. We're going to have a shorter discussion tonight. I think there's 40 some odd verses. So, I'll take the first 10 as usual. So, this is again chapter 88, Lord Shiva saved from Vrkasura. This is an amazing story. I think everyone will truly enjoy this and get the lessons that need to be learned from it. So, text one, King Pariksit said, those demigods, demons, and humans who worship Lord Shiva, a strict renunciate, usually enjoy wealth and sense gratification, while the worshippers of the Supreme Lord Hari, the husband of the goddess of fortune, do not. We wish to properly understand this matter, which greatly puzzles us. Indeed, the results attained by the worshippers of those two lords of the opposite characters are contrary to what one would expect. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Lord Shiva is always united with his personal energy, the material nature, manifesting himself in three features in response to the entreaties of nature's three modes. He thus embodies the threefold principle of material ego in goodness, passion, and ignorance. The 16 elements have evolved as transformations of that false ego. When a devotee of Lord Shiva worships his manifestation in any one of these elements, the devotee obtains all sorts of corresponding enjoyable opulences. Lord Hari, however, has no connection with the material modes. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the all-seeing eternal witness, who is transcendental to material nature. One who worships him becomes similarly freed from the material modes. Your grandfather, King Yudhisthira, after completing the Ashvamedha sacrifices, asked Lord Achyuta this very same question while hearing the Lord's explanation of religious principles. This question pleased Sri Krishna. This question pleased him, the king's lord and master, who had descended into the family of Yadu for the purpose of bestowing the highest good upon all men. The Lord replied as follows as the king eagerly listened. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another. When he becomes frustrated in his attempts to make money and instead befriends my devotees, I bestow special mercy upon him. A person who has thus become sober fully realizes the absolute as the highest truth, the most subtle and perfect manifestation of spirit, the transcendental existence without end, In this way, realizing that the supreme truth is the foundation of his own existence, he is freed from the cycle of material life. Okay, somebody want to pick up at text 11, please. Someone. It's not coming through, Vamsi. No, can't hear you, buddy.
Because I'm difficult to worship, people generally avoid me and instead worship other deities who are quickly satisfied. When people receive kingly opulences from their deities, they become arrogant and intoxicated with pride and neglectful of their duties. They dare to offend even the demigods who have bestowed benedictions upon them. Sukadev Goswami said, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and others are able to curse or bless one. Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are very quick to curse or bestow benedictions. My dear king, but the infallible Supreme Lord is not. In this connection, an ancient historic account is related concerning how the Lord of Kailash mountain was put into danger by offering a choice of benediction to the demon Vrika. The demon named Vrika, a son of Shakunis, once met Narada on the road. The wicked fellow asked him which of the three chief gods could be pleased more quickly. Narada told him, worship Lord Shiva and you will soon achieve success. He quickly becomes pleased by seeing his worshippers' slight good qualities and quickly angered by seeing his slightest fault. He becomes pleased when 10-headed Ravana and also with Bana when they each chanted his glories like bards in a royal court. Lord Shiva then bestowed unprecedented power upon each of them, but in both cases, he was consequently beset with great difficulty. Text 17. Sukadev Goswami continued, thus advised the demon proceeded to worship Lord Shiva at Kedarnath by taking pieces of flesh from his own body and offering them as oblations into the sacred fire, which is Lord Shiva's mouth. Text 18-19. Vrkasura became frustrated after failing to obtain a vision of the Lord. Finally, on the seventh day, after dipping his hair into the holy water at Kedarnath and leaving it wet, he took up a hatchet and prepared to cut off his head. But at that very moment, the supremely merciful Lord Shiva rose up out of the sacrificial fire, looking like the god of fire himself, and grabbed both arms of the demon to stop him from killing himself, just as he would do. By Lord Shiva's touch, Vrkasura once again became whole. Lord Shiva said to him, my friend, please stop. Ask from me whatever you want, and I will bestow that boon upon you. Alas, you have subjected your body to great torment for no reason, since I am pleased with a simple offering of water from those who approach me for shelter. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Thank you so much, Vamsi. That was wonderful. Okay, who's next? Who's next? Step up.
Sukadev Goswami continued. The benediction sinful Vrka chose from the Lord would terrify all living beings. Vrka said, may death come to whomever I touch upon the head with my hand. Upon hearing this, Lord Rudra seemed somewhat disturbed. Nonetheless, O descendant of Bharata, he vibrated to signify his assent, granting Vrka the benediction with an ironic smile as if giving milk to a poisonous snake.
Mm.
To test Lord Sambu's benediction, the demon then tried to put his hands on the Lord's head. Thus Shiva was frightened because of what he himself had done. As the demon pursued him, Lord Shiva fled swiftly from his abode in the north, shaking with terror. He ran as far as the limits of the earth, the sky, and the corners of the universe. The great demigods could only remain silent, not knowing how to counteract the benediction. Then Lord Shiva reached the luminous realm of Vaikuta, beyond all darkness, where the Supreme Lord Narayana is manifest. Narayan is manifest. That realm is the destination of renunciants whom have obtained peace and given up all violence against other creatures. Going there, one never returns. The Supreme Lord, who relieves his devotees' distress, had seen from afar that Lord Shiva was in danger. Thus, by his mystic Yoga Maya potency, he assumed the form of a Brahmachari student with the appropriate belt, deerskin rod, and prayer beads, and came before Vrkasura. The Lord's effulgence glowed brilliantly like fire. Holding kosa grass in his hand, he humbly greeted the demon. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear son of Sukuni, you appear tired. Why have you come such a great distance? Please rest for a while. After all, it is one's body that fulfills all one's desires. Almighty One, please tell us what you intend to do. If we are qualified to hear it, usually one accomplishes his purpose by taking help from others." Sukadev Goswami said, thus questioned by the personality of Godhead in language that poured down upon him like sweet nectar, Verka felt relieved of his fatigue. He described to the Lord everything he had done. The Supreme Lord said, "If this is the case, we cannot believe what Shiva said. Shiva is the same Lord of the Pretus and Piscatus, whom Daxa cursed to become like a carnivorous hobgoblin. hobgoblin. O best of the demons, if you have faith in him because he is the spiritual master of the universe, then without delay, put your hand on your head and see what happens. If the words of Lord Sambu proved untrue in any way, O best of the demons, then kill the liar so he may never lie again." Sukadev Goswami continued, thus bewildered by the personality of Godhead's enchanting, artful words, foolish Verka, without realizing what he was doing, placed his hand on his head. Instantly, his head shattered as if struck by a lightning bolt, and the demon fell down dead. From the sky were heard cries of victory, obeisances, and well done.
Okay, perfect. There's only a few more left. Does anybody want to grab these last ones? Maybe Ranga, would you do it? Just a few left on this chapter.
Okie dokie. Which one are we up to?
37.
37, thank you. Go back and do the dictate. Right. The celestial stages, Pitas and Gandharvas rained down flowers to celebrate the killing of sinful Vrkasura. Now Lord Shiva was out of danger. The Supreme Personality of Godhead then addressed Lord Garisha, who was now out of danger. Just see, O Mahadev, my lord, how this wicked man has been killed by his own sinful reactions. Indeed, What living being can hope for good fortune if he offends exalted saints? What to speak of offending the Lord and spiritual master of the universe? Lord Hari is the directly manifest absolute truth, the supreme soul and unlimited ocean of inconceivable energies. Anyone who recites or hears his pastime of his saving Lord Shiva will be freed from all enemies and the repetition of birth and death.
I'd say that's a good boon, wouldn't you guys?
Yes, that's a good boon. So now we're relieved of birth and death. Ooh,
40 verses and you're relieved. I mean, that's all it
that's
really
easy.
took. Actually, it only really takes one utterance of the holy name of the Lord. And it says that anyone who says the name of the Lord becomes worshipable by everyone. So try to understand how powerful the name of God actually is. It's incredible. It's the one saving thing that we have. It's the sound vibration that will take us from this mundane strata to this transcendental world. So that's pretty cool. What I thought we'd do is, if it's okay with everybody, because we go long sometimes and we don't have much chance to discuss these things. So I thought, if it's okay with you guys, we'll just go back over this chapter first, see how much time we have left. And if we determine we have time for another chapter, we will tonight. The next chapter is quite long and it's a little bit more involved. However, it's along the same lines as this chapter, which discusses really the modes, if you will, because it discusses how this Vrkasura was such a demon that he was actually cutting off pieces of his own body and throwing them in the fire of sacrifice. And he was trying to force Shiva to come before him because he had asked Narada, who's the easiest one to please, right? And then the next chapter goes on even deeper in this thought process that you'll notice when we get to that chapter. If we do it tonight, that's fine. If we don't, we'll do it next time. But the idea is, what type of sacrifice do you think that he's committing? Does anybody know? I mean, what mode is it in?
Oh, good.
What was it?
It's already, sir.
What?
Tamogun
Yeah, he's in the mode of ignorance.
in Tamas.
No question about
Yes.
it. He's definitely in the mode of ignorance because he's causing great pain to his own body. It's crazy, that people will actually do this. But people will do a lot of austerity to get some reaction. So if you look at the same type of sacrifice that was being done by Hiranyakashipu, he was standing there with his arms raised on his toes until his whole body, all the flesh had been eaten by bugs and by ants, and everything was eaten away. He was actually living in the marrow of his own bones. So this is the type of austerities which are in the mode of ignorance. So if you go to the divisions of faith, it discusses this and it talks about that actually in length. So we're going to go through a little bit of that in a minute, but I wanted you to understand that what he was doing was not really approved, certainly not in our sampradaya. And he had obviously material and demoniac purposes, didn't he? Because what did he try to do? As soon as he got the boon from Shiva, what did he do? What did he do? Anybody remember what he just did? Nobody
Tried to
knows?
attack.
What?
He tried to attack Shiva.
Thank you. Yeah, he was going to put his hand on Shiva and kill Shiva. So what does Shiva do? He takes off running. All right? He's going everywhere trying to find some refuge. So the idea is Lord Krishna came and tricked him. So, we always think we can outsmart Krishna, right? Everybody thinks, no, I'm a little smarter. I could probably beat him in whatever gambling or, odds or whatever it might be. But Krishna is the gambling of cheats. He is that potency that they have that they think that they own. They don't own that potency. Krishna owns that potency. And he can befuddle anyone. And so he comes and he speaks all these words that are just like ambrosia to this demon. And so the demon spills his guts to the Lord, tells him all about what his plans are. And the Lord goes, well, he says, look, he says, do you not know that Shiva is the spiritual master of the Prachetas like that, and that he is like a hobgoblin, right? So it says he was cursed by Prajapati Daksha, and he has become just like a carnivorous hobgoblin. So it said, so you shouldn't trust his word. You shouldn't trust him. So better to test his benediction by putting your hand on your own head. So Krishna talked him into putting his hand on his own head, and because he was bewildered by the words. And the foolish demon touched his own head, which immediately shattered into many pieces and fell to the ground. So, of course, the demigods showering flowers, cries of victory, victory, obeisances, well done, well done. All of this could be heard from the demigods coming from the sky. So, when you go back to the first two verses in this chapter, these are very, very important because they set the stage for the next two chapters. So, King Prixit says, those demigods, demons, and humans who worship Lord Shiva, a strict renunciate, usually enjoy wealth and sense gratification, while worshippers of the Supreme Lord Hari, the husband of the goddess of fortune, they do not. They don't get those same benedictions. So it says they wanted to know. They said, we wish to properly understand this matter, which is puzzling us. Indeed, the results attained by the worshippers of these two lords of opposite characters are contrary to what one would expect. You wouldn't expect that. You would expect Krishna to give you all these boons and Shiva to take them away. Shiva is in the mode of ignorance. Lord Vishnu, mode of goodness, actually pure goodness, transcendent to all material modes of material nature, and Brahma in the mode of passion. So it says, Lord Shiva is always united with his personal energy, the material nature, manifesting himself in three features in response to these the modes of nature. And so he actually embodies the threefold principle of material ego in both, all three, goodness, passion, and ignorance. So it goes on to say, it says, since Lord Hari has no connection with the material modes, because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's the all-seeing eternal witness of everything, and his transcendental material nature, one who worships him becomes similarly free from the material modes. So when they ask this question, Krishna replies. So they're asking, you took your birth in the Yadu dynasty, you came here for the ultimate good of all men, and so they wanted to hear from the Lord what his take on the situation was. And Krishna says immediately, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. We're all so favored, aren't we? So favored by the Lord. When you think about it, the Lord Krishna, the sound Krishna actually means one who takes away. Krishna is Kala, time. He takes away everything. He takes away your youth. He takes away your vitality. He takes away your eyesight, your hearing, your sense of smell, your everything. Krishna takes it all away at the end. But then what does he do? He also provides everything. So it's his to take. It's not ours. It never was ours. It's always been Krishna's, and we're using his facilities here. So in the Bhagavad Gita in 3:27, it says, Prakriti Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvasha Ahankara Vimudhatma Kartuhumiti Manyate. So ahankara means that which stands in the way of a fool, vimudhatma. So it's a mudha, somebody who doesn't understand. So it says the bewildered soul is under the influence of the three modes of material nature, and thus he thinks himself the doer of activities which are in actuality being carried out by nature alone. Everything that you desire, Krishna is fulfilling since time immemorial. All you're really doing is desiring. It even said here, Krishna tricked him by saying, you should rest. You've been traveling a long distance. Maybe you should take it easy for a while, because it's the body that provides all enjoyment and all facility for sense gratification. So please don't overdo the body. Well, what does the demon do? He's been cutting off his flesh. And because Shiva wouldn't show up, he was willing to hatchet off his own head. Come on, guys. And so he was going to throw it into the sacrificial fire. So who appeared from the sacrificial fire? Who appeared?
Shiva.
Shiva came from the sacrificial fire and awarded him his boon. But after he did it, it says that Shiva had a weird smile on his face. He was kind of like, man, what is this? What have I done? What have I done? It's like I've given, like milk. The serpent is now poisoned the milk that I've just given him. And then naturally he tried to use it against the Lord. So Krishna takes everything away, but Shiva will reward wealth, and Brahma will very quickly to one who is worshiping them, very quickly. But they also can become very dissatisfied very quickly. Just like the one story, there's a Ekadasi story about two Gandharvas. They were both the chief Gandharva. They were kirtan leaders. And so all of this big festival was going on in the realm of Lord Indra. And so there's a big festival. And so these two kirtan leaders, they come together. One is very beautiful, and the male, he's very handsome. And so as they're doing the puja and singing and stuff in the assembly of Lord Indra, her garment comes open just a little bit. And when that happens, the chief male Gandharva saw this and became immediately attracted. And his mind then became bewildered by lust, and he lost his meter, he lost his rhythm, and he lost the words of the mantra in front of Lord Indra. And he could tell that these two souls were agitated in the middle of this puja that was meant for the sacrifice for the Lord. So what did he do? He immediately cursed them to become hobgoblin and go to the material world. And they fell naked to the Himalayan mountains. And it was so cold and so icy and so troublesome that they couldn't enjoy one another. Even though they had previously had this lusty emotion, now they're suffering, they're chilled, they can't find a place to stay. It's cold, it's rainy, they're naked, there's no food. So they find some cave for some temporary shelter. They're trying to hold one another, and their teeth are chattering and they're shaking. They can't even have any, amorous activity. And it just so happened to be they stayed up all night suffering in this way. And they were very, what you might call remorseful. And they were very repentant. And they were very sorry that they had done this, and it caused them such difficulty to fall to the material world. But when they woke up, more or less woke up from this situation the next morning and exited the cave, there was a chariot there waiting for them. And as they stepped on the chariot, these beautiful, like Vishnu Dutas, are there driving the chariot, and they're immediately restated in their beautiful bodies and in their beautiful arraignments, and they were delivered back to Indra's court. And when they came to Indra's court, Indra was shocked. He's going, what are you guys doing back? I thought I just cursed you. My curse is irresistible. How is it that you've been able to overcome my curse? No one can overcome my curse. How could you do it? So they explained that that night was Ekadasi night. And they had fasted, stayed awake all night, prayed to God all night in remorse for their activities. And the next morning they were reestablished, but it was even better. They were even more beautiful, even more pious, even more. And when they appeared before Indra, he said, it seems as if you yourself have been in association with the Supreme Person, and therefore you're effulgent like the sun. So he gave him the key to the kingdom. And they had free reign and enjoyment of the kingdom after that. So it's a nice Odyssey story showing how, these things can happen if we are not careful. We have to watch out. We have to bring our mind back under the control. We can't fall under the influence of the three modes of material nature, because if we do, then our problem is exacerbated and we will suffer unlimitedly. So there's another wonderful verse in the 7th chapter, 7:13. Trabir gunamayir bhavayar ebai sarvam idam jagat mohitam nabijanati ma mebya param avyayam, which is a very beautiful verse, but it describes this very important point. It says, deluded, now try to get this, deluded by the three modes of material nature. We are deluded by the three modes of material nature, and the whole world does not know me, Krishna says, because they are deluded by the three modes of material nature, who am above the three modes and inexhaustible. And that particular verse describes this situation that Krishna just described. He says, because he's very kind to people that he favors, he removes their wealth. His friends and his relatives, they abandon him because of his poverty-stricken condition. And in this way, he suffers one distress after another. Have you ever met anybody who's had to go through that? Oh, yeah. It can happen regularly to you if you're a Hare Krishna devotee. So the beauty is that distress that we go through brings us closer to Krishna, because it brings us into this state of prayer, like it did when these two Gandharvas were thrown into the material world. They were thrown into a condition of distress, and that condition of distress caused them to enter a state of sincere prayer during an Ekadasi. So who else prayed at a sincere prayer to be given distress? Does anybody know who that is?
Kunti Mas.
Yeah, there you go. So she said, let all of these maladies befall us again and again and again and again, because they remind us of Krishna. Listen, this is temporary. The pain and the suffering you have, matrasparsas kontiya satosna sukadukada, it's temporary. It's happiness, distress, heat, cold, tornado, then nice blue sky. Okay, we've had a lot of that here lately, as a matter of fact, flooding and so forth. So we see that everywhere you look in the material world, it's going to be distressful anyway. So just bear it, tolerate it. Prabhupada said, just tolerate it, knowing that we deserve worse. So we're very grateful to the Lord for not giving us our just due. Does that make sense? So, and then we just tolerate it for a short period of time, and then we have eternal happiness, free from all these dualities and the suffering within the material world, like we're undergoing now. So Krishna goes on to say in 7:14, Daivi Yesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. And he's saying that this divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered to me can easily cross beyond it. So this is the idea. We have to surrender to Krishna. If we surrender to the demigods, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, in the divisions, I believe it's divisions of faith, he says, those who worship the demigods actually are only worshiping me in truth, because I, in all conditions, am the sources of the demigods and their power. So they are worshiping me indirectly, and so by worshiping the demigods, they're worshiping me in the wrong way. Krishna explains that in the Bhagavad Gita. So that situation of trying to understand why are we worshiping? If you want to go to Shiva and you want to become wealthy, great. You'll lose it all at the time of death. So the boons that are given to us by Brahma or Shiva are generally confined into these three modes of material nature. But when you go to Krishna, he sees this as all useless. This whole situation is all useless because it's repetitive birth, death, old age, disease, birth, death, old age, disease, wheel of samsara. Just one death, one birth, one wife, one husband, one children, this, that, whatever it might be. You've had trillions. And none of it's ever pleased you. Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying eating a delicious meal is not nice, but wait about 10 hours and see if you're still enjoying it. And if there's no more food, then the pain sets in. Hunger is a pain. So just like lust is a pain, all of these things are a pain. All we do is run after this stuff, and all it does is give us bad reactions. It's not at all what we wanted. We get really the opposite of what we went for in almost every case. So the idea is yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tijanchante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kontaya sadatad bhava bhavita. And that means that whatever state you are in when you quit your body, whatever state that is, that state you will attain without fail. So if you're born in an animal body, you're just being controlled by that mode. You're just acting within that mode, and you can't get out. You have to gradually go through species to come and lift yourself out of that so you can get back to the human stage. So you have rational mind so that you can find a spiritual master, so you can hear the absolute truth, and you have the intelligence in the body that can understand it, and then you can actually engage in practice. And so what is the practice we should engage in? Krishna says, those who have surrendered to me can easily cross beyond this ocean of nescience of these three modes of material nature, which drive us mad. They drive us mad. Okay? They do. Look at this demon. He wanted power over God. He was willing to cut off flesh and throw it in the sacrificial fire. And he was performing sacrifice in the mode of ignorance. So if you look that up, let's see if we can find that. Three modes of material nature. I don't know where that verse is that I'm looking for, but it does say that a person who is performing activities that are painful, that are miserable, that cause suffering to the body, all these things, this is sacrifice in the mode of ignorance. So we don't want to do that. We want to, it says that from the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. And from the mode of passion, only greed and unlimited longing develops. And from the mode of ignorance, only foolishness, madness, and illusion develop. Because it's madness to think that you could ever conquer God. That's a road you're never going to traverse, guys. It's not going to happen, okay? So the idea is that you have to be able to see these things clearly, and that means you need to rise above the modes. The modes are like cataracts on the eyes. You see things through colored glasses. If you put on a pair of glasses that are clear, that's nice. But if you put on red glasses, everything's all of a sudden red. If you put on a pair of blue glasses, all of a sudden everything's blue. So you see it in a particular way. So when you take a body in one of these modes, you're going to clearly suffer in those conditions, and you will not be able to see things as they are clearly, and you become just like animals, it says. They do not see that by killing one animal, they are taking the chance of being killed by the same animal in the next life. So even in physics, it states this fact that every action has an opposite and equal reaction. So what are they doing? They're killing, millions of animals every day and eating their flesh. And they think there won't be an opposite and equal reaction for doing that. They have skyscrapers in China that are filled with pigs being slaughtered. It's amazing. 40, 50, 60-story buildings filled up with pigs being slaughtered every day, millions of them. So these people are never going to find their way out of that labyrinth of the three modes of material nature. So if you then you become in the mode of goodness. The idea is when you are in the mode of goodness, gradually you go upward and to the higher planets. And in that state, you can begin to understand reality as distinguished from illusion. And you can hear it in the prayers of the demigods in many cases, especially after the Lord schools them by showing up and chastises them. And we've seen that now many, many times, haven't we, in this Srimad Bhagavatam that we've been reading. So, any questions, comments that you guys have at this point you want to talk about this chapter? One of the things that stands out here to me, though, is text 11. It says, because I am difficult to worship, people generally avoid me. There's even a thing in the Vedas where it says, don't go to Krishna, don't worship Krishna, because he will take away from you. So if you want something prosperous in the material world, you don't necessarily go to Krishna for that. He's trying to lift you out of here. He's trying to save you from being entangled in further karma by providing you with wealth and so forth and so on. Because when you have that, it's easily you become attached to sense gratification. And so Krishna is trying to deliver us from that. So it says, instead of coming to me, they avoid me and they go to other deities who are quickly satisfied or quickly angered. But when people receive these kingly opulences, they become arrogant. They become intoxicated with pride. And we've seen that. Krishna has to come and chastise even Indra because he has pride. And so therefore he has to be brought down. He has to be brought to his knees so he can understand. Because they become neglectful of their duties. As soon as you're arrogant, you're prideful, you don't think you need to worship any God. You think you're doing it all. Right? Krishna, he tried to explain the karma mimamsa philosophy to his father, Nanda Maharaj. And it made sense at first, but it's really kind of atheistic because it denies the existence of God and says instead that your activities are supreme. Because whatever you do brings about your happiness and distress directly. Krishna, it says, is God is then forced by you through your actions to give you what you want. And Krishna was explaining this to Nanda Maharaj. And Nanda, of course, Krishna is such a smooth talker. You can see he just talked this guy into killing himself here. Vrkasura, he's talked him into killing himself. So he was he talked all of the residents of Braja into taking the sacrifice that was due for Indra and bringing it to him. And therefore, the lifting of Govardhan Hill and everything became his pastime. So, and in the same time, not only did he save everybody in the village and show his prowess, but he also schooled Indra in humility. And so it was very, very wonderful. He also did that to Brahma when Brahma stole the cowherd boys and so forth and so on. So you can see that these modes bring about these actions, which bring about reactions, which are self-punishment. And Krishna goes on to say here, he says that this demon was killed by his own hand. He was actually going to kill himself anyway, wasn't he? He was going to take a hatchet, chop off his head. But he said that because he listened to this suggestion of the young Brahmin student boy who came before him and spoke these sweet ambrosic words, he was tricked into killing himself. Because he said, may death come to anyone I lay my hand upon their head. So, Rudra decided that he had been given milk to a poisonous snake at this point. And Shiva had to run, and he was pursued to the limits of the earth, the skies, the corners of the universe. And the demigods, they couldn't really do anything about it. They didn't know how to counteract the benediction that he had given. So he actually went to Svetadweep. He went to Svetadweep. Do you know what that is? That's the abode of Vishnu. That's the abode of Mahavishnu. And there's a palace there. And when he got there, this is the most amazing palace that you could ever possibly imagine. And it's where the Lord lies down on the serpent bed. And so that's where they began to see the Lord in that situation. They go there again. They go there again in a minute, actually. And Arjuna and Krishna go when they save the Brahmin's sons. They go there. So it's another story coming up in the next chapter that you'll hear about. It says, but anyway, the idea is that Krishna was satisfied with the results of the activity because he said that this man, through his own desires, has killed himself, which is appropriately done. So stories like this are designed to attract our mind and to give us a thrill that we don't forget. We don't forget these stories. These are stories that you carry throughout your life. These are wisdom stories. And you can see what to do and what not to do by the activities of the demons, who are thus appropriately punished for their behaviors. So, guys, any questions about any of this stuff? Anybody want to add anything to this? I'm going to wait till next time, the next chapter, and I'm going to go over some of the stuff that I have in the Gita that I want to talk to y'all about later. But any comments, Ranga or Vamsi or Marie or anybody? Heb, anybody? Is there any stuff in the chat box down there, guys? Look at that. There's something in the chat. He's doing some video editing. Okay, Winley's saying, cool. That's good. Well, guys, we're glad you're here tonight. We're glad you're hearing these stories. It says it at the end of this story. We don't get this at every end of every story. But I would like to find all of the stories in the Bhagavatam that end by saying, anyone who recites or hears this pastime of saving Lord Shiva, in this case, will be freed from all enemies and the repetition of birth and death. Now, what a great boon that is tonight. Can you go down to Walmart and get that? What if you became the richest man on earth? Could you get that boon? What if you were the most powerful person here? Would you be able to get that? No, you'd be corrupt like this demon. Yeah, that's why Krishna is taking away all our wealth. He thinks we're going to get corrupted. We're not qualified to have the goddess of fortune living in our house. We're just not, apparently. So Krishna will take away from you whatever you have to humble you, cause you struggling, cause you difficulties, cause you to have to go through it again and again and again and again. Just like the life of Srila Prabhupada. Read the books. See what Prabhupada went through. You think you got it bad? No. Life can be difficult, people. And Krishna, when he gives difficulty to his devotee, it's for the devotee's redemption every time. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. But if you don't have Krishna, you may have some temporary boon, but when you lose it now, it's like, there's a story. I'll tell you this story. It's maybe not a good story to tell you, but I'll tell it. It's a story about somebody who goes to hell, right? It's a joke. And he's in hell and he's standing about waist deep in all types of like abominable stuff. You know, you understand what I'm talking about. You've heard about the Vaitarani River. You know, it's full with trunks and pus and mucus and blood and guts and stool, every kind of horrible thing you can imagine to make you aware of the material Virata Rupa, really what you're dealing with here. Okay. So they're standing in hell and he's here, but everybody's having a smoke break. And they're sitting there just puffing and puffing cigarettes. And he's thinking, well, you know, maybe it's not that bad down here, you know. Everybody's smoking a cigarette, having a nice time, I guess. So then the devil comes in. He goes, okay, everybody, smoke break over. Get back on your head. Sorry, I had to tell it. I just had to go for it. So now they've got to invert themselves upside down and all this awful stuff. Forgive me, okay? But I think you get the idea. All right, Vamsi, what you got, buddy?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is a great story, and
we usually take the name of Lord Shiva as a demigod, and he makes all these mistakes. He was actually helping Ravan, and we have also read in the 10th canto where the Lord is fighting with Lord Shiva. However, we say that he's the greatest Vaishnava. So it's hard to kind of reconcile these two things. It's probably because this is part of the pastime, and his service is to do these mistakes to make us learn. So it's a difficult service he's doing as a Vaishnava.
And Krishna expands himself to do this service. And in that service, he delivers people in the mode of ignorance. I mean,
Yeah.
actually, Krishna does too, because the demons are trying to kill Krishna. He kills them back and delivers them in that process. Everything Krishna does is all auspicious. In all of his incarnations and all of his expansions, every bit of it is designed for our benefit, you know, it really is. So the idea is these three modes of material nature that we come in contact with, we become almost like robots to it. That's why people can almost like enter into like an animal mentality of just eating, sleeping, mating, defending, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, go to work, get up, go to work, feed the family. They do that for all these years and then they die. And what gain do they get? The trouble that it takes and the karma that it makes. Think about it. So the idea is Krishna wants you to stop all that nonsense. And he comes in these different forms to try to save you again and again. And Shiva's one great soul to do that. Shiva's out saving the unsavables, right? I mean, he's doing the hard work in this universe. So the idea is Shiva's the great Lord of destruction. And he also kills the bad elements in the heart of the devotee because he himself is the greatest devotee. There's no question about it. He is meditating when he got interrupted by Cupid trying to distract him from his meditation. What did he do? What did he do?
Opened his third eye and burned up Cupid.
And Cupid no longer has a material body. He just lives in this lust, you know, he lives in this desire that we have, and he infiltrates our hearts and our minds and our soul to distract us from our meditation, just like he tried to do to Shiva. So that's why Krishna is recommending in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, wherever the mind wanders due to its restless, fickle nature, you have to draw it back under the control of the self, because otherwise you're not really performing yoga. Now, it's easier than it sounds in a way, because it doesn't matter how you approach Krishna, apparently. We've read this Srimad Bhagavatam a couple of times, and we're seeing all the people are getting delivered. Demons, devotees. I mean, everybody's getting delivered, you know, so it's kind of all auspicious, you know. And Prabhupada himself said that if you're a wino, then you have to look at your flask of wine and go, thank you, Krishna, because it's not offerable to the Lord, obviously. It's in a lower mode, but just by acknowledging the effect that this is having on me, this is actually coming from God. And therefore, I have to honor God in that situation. I have to understand that all of these things are coming from the Lord, ultimately. And I may misuse them, that's my fault, right? But all these things are manifested from God and from the body of God. So these things have to be offered back, even in the mode of ignorance, and they can gradually elevate us in that situation. So guys, it's 7:57. I told you we didn't need to do that other chapter. Every time we do that, we miss out on a bunch of stuff that we just talked about. We're going to have the auxiliary information to go along with the chapter. So next week, when we come back to the next chapter, Krishna and Arjuna take off and go to Svetadweep. And they bring the Brahmin's sons back with them. And it's really a wonderful, wonderful chapter. And it also describes the mode of ignorance and passion and goodness, because they're asking the Lord, which is the greatest demigod, which is the easiest one to please. So that's coming up also in this next chapter. It's kind of a continuation of the thought process we're having here now. So any other comments or questions or anything you want to add to this class this evening? I think it's a beautiful class. I think it's a standalone. So how do you feel about it? Feel good? You look good. You guys are beautiful. Y'all are beautiful devotees, you know. Very nice to see the devotees. It's a nice association. So thank you for always being here and being stalwart. You know, we've seen lots of people come and go to these classes, but you guys are here. And Prabhupada was told by his own guru that he said, everyone has already left and you're still here. So that really is a criteria that is profound. I mean, even if we don't even understand what we're talking about, gradually you get purified by just hearing it over and over and over and over again. You know, every time I read the same thing I read 50 years ago, 50 plus years ago, it means more now than it ever did. And I see how it fits into the greater scheme of things more and more and more each time I hear it. And when you chant Hare Krishna, you purify yourself and you allow this information to actually become embedded in your heart and soul. It becomes part of you. So today, as I was listening to the narration of this particular chapter, I mean, I was feeling, you know, chill bumps, thrill from this. We should be thrilled by the Lord's activities. These are great adventures. I wrote a song. It says, what is that? It says, well, King Krishna. It's that song, King Krishna. And it talks about, what's that last verse? It says, the ancient practice still remains. Recite his glories, sing his name. It's as vital now as in the ancient days. His adventures thrill our hearts and minds. They teach us Krishna's love divine. And he dances in each heart where he's the king. So that's a verse in that song, King Krishna. So there you go. He's dancing in the heart where you invite him. Build a throne. We talked about this before. Mentally build a throne in your heart. Make it the most beautiful throne you can make. You can make it big. You can make it beautiful. You can put diamonds on it, pearls on it, rubies on it, emeralds, whatever turns you on. You can put a big, beautiful umbrella above it. You can put flower garlands all over Krishna and invite him to come and sit on the throne. And on that throne, you can wash his feet. You can drink the water. You can sprinkle it on your head. You can sprinkle it on everybody. That's what we do when we throw the water out to the crowd. We're sprinkling it over your head. This is Krishna's bath water. This is the water that washes his feet. So this is what we're supposed to have over and over and over and over again, repetitively. So build an altar in your heart, build a throne, build the most beautiful temple in your heart, and invite Krishna to come and stay. Just like it said, when Arjuna and Krishna get to Mahavishnu's Svetadweep place, it said there's nothing that anyone could ever imagine that's that splendorous. It's not possible. You can't even imagine how splendorous that location is. It's filled with light. And on the way there, they go past all these different 14 planetary, systems and the whole thing. And then they go into the abyss. They go into the great darkness. And even Krishna's horses got lost. They got lost trying to find their way. So what did Krishna do? Sudarshan. He sends it out, lights the way. They find the path to Svetadweep, and then they see the light in the distance. And they go there to meet Lord Mahavishnu, and he blesses their efforts and gives them the Brahmin children to bring back. Now, that's the next chapter, but we just had them go. Shiva just went. So pretty cool stuff, right? And Brahma, it doesn't show where Brahma went. It says where Brahma stood on the edge of the milk ocean and prayed the Purusha Shukta prayers, and then the Lord telepathically talked to him. See what I'm saying? Now, if you know of a time where Brahma went to Shweta I'd like to hear it. If anybody knows that, Vamsi may know. But Shiva did go. And Krishna and Arjuna, who become Nara and Narayan, rishis, they went. So that's pretty cool. Guys, thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate you listening and contributing. And we'll see you next week. We got two more chapters. And the last chapter is so wonderful because it's a collection of the pastimes of the Lord, kind of a remembrance of his activities. So it'll be a wonderful standalone also. You have something else, Vamsi?
Yeah, I'll be off next week because I'm to travel to India for a week for work.
Okay, for work, huh?
Yeah, so but it'll give me opportunity to visit some holy places. I'm hoping to visit Dwarka, the West Coast.
Well, you better take some pictures. If you don't, you're going to have to be severely chastised by all the stuff.
Yes, probably.
All right. Well, have a safe trip. If we don't see you next week, and we'll record it for your listening pleasure.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
If you want to. So, guys, again, thank you so much, and repeat after me: Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama Rama.
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Be blessed. Be safe. Pray for Gayatri Dasa. Okay?
Hare Krishna.
Hare guys. See you next
Hare
week.
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.